Happy Thanksgiving. Um, so happy to be here with all of you today. Thank you so much. If you're joining, welcome to the live. Thank you for joining. Here is Baji. We are going to be doing some playful things today. The kitty cats were just now playing with their laser pointer, so I thought it's a good time to go live and catch up with everybody. Yay! So yeah, thank you so much for joining. If you're seeing this as a video upload later on, welcome. Thank you so much for watching. Really happy to have you here. And yes, settle in. When we go live, we stay live for a while. So once again, happy to see you and looking forward to seeing many of you old friends as well as new friends. And here we are. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about your Thanksgiving, how it's going, any plans for this weekend. I know it's a long weekend for us in the US, so hopefully everybody is getting lots of rest, relaxation, recovery, and time with family and rejuvenation. And maybe you'll go for a movie or something. Maybe you'll join us on this live. Thank you so much. So, yeah, let's get this party started. I'm going to share the live and I'll be in the chat as well with you guys. Sometimes we just kind of chill and hang out and catch up. Ooh, and also, actually, I also wanted to do this live to appreciate all of you because we are so very close to getting 3,000 subscribers. I'm really excited. I'm hoping that we will get at least 4 more subscribers today during this live so that we can actually get to the 3,000 number. So yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you so very much for all of your support, for joining these live streams, for watching the videos, watching the shorts, and giving so much love to those things. So I really appreciate all of you. And yeah, let's catch up. Yay. So here is Baji. I'm gonna put this down over here. Oh, hi, Mama. This is Suji, Mama. Big stretch. We're gonna actually be playing with the kitty cat soon here. I just want to put the phone down for just a second and do the share of the live stream here so that people know that we have gone live. Also, I should note that we this month, so we're at the very end of November almost now, but this month we made a lot of progress with a lot of books as well. Look at all these books that we have been reading and also referencing and whatnot for our topics that we share on this live. So yeah, hello. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. How are you guys doing? Hi. And I was just saying that this is an appreciation live, everybody. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for supporting this channel. We're towards the end of November, and I was just mentioning how we made so much progress this month and we read all of these books. Well, we are still reading some of them actually, and we've been referencing them along with our topics on this live. So thank you. And oh, hi Numas, hello from Armenia. Numas says hello from Armenia. Elita Cardenas says Pedros. AM99 says meow. Hi. Gadiri says hi honey. Hello. Hi Gadiri. Hi everybody. How is everybody doing? Bacon FN says hi. Numas says where are you from? We're in Boston, Massachusetts in the United States. Hi. Hello, so happy to have you here. Hello. Taylor or Tutor Edits says hi. Hi Tutor. So we are doing a catch-up live, a hangout live, hanging out with everybody today, and taking as long as needed to say hi to everyone and appreciating all of you because we really love all of the support that we have gotten on this channel here, taking us to almost 3,000 subscribers. So we want to surpass that, and hopefully we want to get more than 3,000 subscribers today. And oh wow, hi from India. Sandeep Arya Entertainment says hi from India. Where you are from, cute cat. Thank you. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States. Sandeep says, like is done. Thank you, Sandeep. Please subscribe. Really appreciate you and appreciate your support. And thank you so much for joining the live. And welcome to you as well as all of India. Hopefully, 1 billion people will be joining along with you soon here. Numa says your voice is like Adele's voice. Oh, wow. Adele has an amazing singing voice, of course, as well as a normal voice. So thank you so much. Can you believe, or can you please give Alia, your girl, a shout out, please? Yes, Alia, your girl. Hi. Hello, Alia. Love your name. Love it. Love your profile picture. Thank you so much. Why do you sound like Hannah Pibbs? Hi, Tutor Edits. I'm not sure I know what that is. Lots of love and blessings, happiness, and good health from India. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your comment. Sandeep Arya Entertainment. I'll have to check out your channel as well. Sounds like very interesting. So yeah, we are just chilling on a Black Friday here. We just had Thanksgiving holiday yesterday. Numa says, can you show your face? Yeah, maybe in a little bit. Hannah Pibbs is a YouTube channel. Hannah PYBS. Is that how you pronounce it? What's the channel about? This channel is about the kitty cats with my voiceover. Baji the handsome cat right here. This is Baji. He's the main host. Sometimes he's a little sleepy during these lives, so I do the voiceover and hopefully make it a little entertaining for you here. And we also do a lot of actually a lot of different interesting topics, especially in the field of physics. So we actually have been doing a lot of nighttime lives when all our physics enthusiast friends join and we read and reference all these books I have utilizing my background in physics. She does stars content. Okay, I'm going. Have a good day, Adele. Thank you. I'm not Adele, but maybe I'm related to Adele. Who knows? Noah, hi. How are you, Noah? Hi, Matt. How are you? So, yeah, it was very nice to get the surge of viewers here on the live. Generally, we catch up and hang out and just, chat with everybody for a bit when we start these lives. And sometimes I show my face, sometimes I don't. It really depends on how I feel that day, if I feel like showing my face or not. But my voiceover is still always a permanent constant on these lives. And basically, it's also a booktuber type of channel because I have been covering a lot of physics topics, and that is also my background. So there is generally a lot of interesting discussion that happens on these lives. So if you stick around, you might just catch some of that. Matt VR says hello, hello. Noah says, okay. Interesting, Noah. That's a very interesting comment indeed. Laura says, such a babies. Yes, hi, Laura. How are you? Here is Suji. Actually, I kind of want to... ooh, Fuji is here too. I kind of want to play with the kitty cats and you can watch. You can see that. I'm hoping that some of our friends who usually join at this time, who are a little bit younger, will also be joining, and they might just enjoy the, if I can speak, enjoy the. All right, Noah. Okay. Noah, thank you for being the live, but yeah, I had to report you, so thank you for showing us how that feature works. We are live. Death Dragon! How are you, my friend? Death Dragon. Okay, so you've been waiting all day. Thank you, Death Dragon, for your help and support today. I just had to time someone out and also report them for hate speech and violence speech. I didn't know that there was a button like that for YouTube, but now I have learned. So thank you so much for the opportunity and experience to learn that. But yeah, we don't really appreciate such weird and violent type of comments. And yeah. So, not cool at all, but we will keep on going. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Welcome to the live. We are here to hang out with you and have a nice chat and to catch up in general. We have a lot of old and new friends who join the live and have a nice time and catch up and hang out. So, sometimes our lives are just chill, we just hang out for a while, and then generally we also cover more topics. So let's see how it will be today. Here is Suji Mama. Hi, baby. Hi, Shona Suji. Hi. Aw. Death Dragon, how are you doing? How was your Thanksgiving? I've been waiting all day, says Death Dragon. Okay. All right, here we are. Here we are. I'm going to type some stuff. I hate Noah. Well, we don't want to hate on anybody. We don't want to hate. We just want to love, but we also don't really appreciate sketchy and hateful comments. So yeah. Hello. How was your Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving was good. Really? That's awesome. What did you eat? I'm going to pin this comment. Hi, come join the chat and say hi. Tell us about your Thanksgiving. Dead Dragon, can you like the live also so that we can, yeah. Spaghetti and ice cream. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Join us and chat. Yay. Awesome. I did. Okay, good. Okay, let's see. Let's see if Baji wants to play. They just had their snack. So, they just had their snack. Look at that. Baji, look at this. Look at his tail. Hi, Fuji. Hi. Look at Baji's tail. So, Baji was excited about chasing the laser a little while ago. I think maybe I have too many lights on right now, so they can't see it very well. But let's try this. Do you see the laser, Suji? Aww. Oh, hi, Kelly. Kelly, how are you? Hello, how are you? Kelly, have you met Death Dragon? Death Dragon is our friend here, and Death Dragon, please meet Callie. She is really nice, and she knows a lot about blue parakeets and birds, and she's very lovely. Yes, she's super lovely. So thank you for joining, Callie. So excited to have you here. How are you doing? How are the little birds? Tell us your story. Leroy the cat. Hi, Leroy. Long time no see. How are you? Leroy the cat and his human have also joined the live. Baji, are you gonna chase? Baji, look at this. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Baji, what is this? Leroy Jenkins. Leroy is also another friend of Baji Suji. Leroy the cat and his dad or human or mom have now joined as well. How nice. Love it. We're just doing a playful live. Let's see. let's see if we see some Baji action today. We are also appreciating everybody who supports the channel and likes and subscribes, because we really appreciate you, and we're almost very close to 3,000 subscribers. I don't know if we got to that number yet or not, but but that's what we're hoping for, and really happy that you're here. Baji, Baji, how are you? How are you, Baji? So I think this laser looks kind of weird when it's not completely dark, but I need to have some kind of light on. Baji! Yes. Leroy Jenkins. So is Jenkins the name of the kitty cat as well? And yeah, if you join and say a comment, I will do a shout out for you. And Death Dragon, I want to be able to see the other people's comments too. So kind of try to limit your comments so I can see the other people's comments, not pass by too quickly. Billie Eilish, hi. Just Leroy. Okay. Shout out to... Hi, Fuji. Me? Good. I hope you reach your goal of 3,000. Thank you. Billie Eilish said shout out. Very nice. Just Leroy. Hi, Billie Eilish. Callie says, I hope you reach your goal of 3,000. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Appreciate it. Baji, are you gonna chase Chase? Look at his face. He's so cute. You're so cute. Baji, look at Baji. He's hanging. He's hanging. Baji, you're gonna have to move around. You're not gonna be able to catch it otherwise. You're not gonna be Ole Baba. Ole Baba, you're the little ball. You're not gonna be able to catch it otherwise. So yeah, Callie, tell us about your birds. Callie has birds, and she also makes videos. Hi, baby. Oh. Ole Baba, such a good boy, Baji. So this is actually Baji's favorite toy. He loves the laser. There are other toys too that he likes, but this is his favorite. And Suji is much more of a, she loves to chase things that are more like a mouse, and same with Fuji. Fuji has his favorite toys, and he even has a specific time during the day when he wants to play and hunt them and bring his prey to me. But Baji loves the laser pointer. It's hard to see it without the complete darkness, but that's what he likes. Callie says they're all doing well at the moment. Oh, good. Oh, good. That's great to see. Good to know that your birdies are good. Oh, Suji Mama. Shuji! Shuji, what is this? Shuji's like, let me help you. Suji's like, let me help you. Hi, Fuji. Oh, Fuji helps me. Fuji helps me. Fuji wants it too. Fuji wants laser. Oh, Fuji. Oh, you're so cute. Oh, you're so cute. You're so cute. You're so cute. Ole Baba, Ole Baba, Ole Baba. Baji, you better catch it, because Fuji and Suji are coming to help you as well. Ooh, they want snack? No, you have to catch the laser pointer first. They already got their lunch and snacks and everything. He's just wanting attention. He's like, I want attention. I want attention. Wow, Baji. Baji! Oh, wow. Oh, wow, Baji. So many movements. So many movements. So much action. Baji, can you tell what this is? What is this? What is this, Fuji? Death Dragon says Fuji, yes. Fuji is here. Fuji Baba. Hi, Fuji Baba. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Oh, Fuji. Hi. Hi, Mr. Baji. See, Baji likes to rest and then hunt. He likes to rest as well. Suji. Suji Mama. Suji Mama. Look at this laser. It looks like a paw. Suji Mama, are you going to chase it? Are you going to chase? Are you going to chase, Jess? Let's see. Oh, Suji came out of the woodworks. Suji likes to do a sneak attack where she likes to hide first as if the laser can't see her. And then, hi, Fuji. Hi. Are you trying to do the dishes, Fuji? Thank you so much. Thank you, Baba, for your help. I love you. Thank you. See, Fuji's much more domesticated and he participates in the kitchen and home activities, household, housekeeping. He's so responsible. So responsible. Fuji! Oh, Fuji's hiding now over there. Fuji's hiding. Fuji's hiding. What's this, Fuji? Fuji's gonna do a sneak attack. Baji! Look at that. Just a paw is coming out. Oh. Oh. Little Baji. Little Baji paw. Little Baji paw. Little Baji paw. Baji! Everybody, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. Really appreciate you. Oh. Oh. Mr. Fuji Suji Baji. Miss Suji. Miss Suji, look at Suji. She's so cute and fast. Suji. Suji. Hola, mama. Suji. What is happening? What is this? What is this? What is this? This sofa is quite durable, I must say. Are they girl, or boy, or girl, boy? So there are two boys and a girl. Suji's the only girl. Oh, Fuji ran away. Fuji ran. This one's a girl. This is girl Suji. This is a girly girl. Wow, Suji's doing a big run. Suji's hiding and then gonna pounce on it. Look at her. She's hiding. You can't see her because there's so much darkness, but look at her. She's pouncing. She's getting ready to pounce. Oh my God! Oh my God! Baji doesn't pounce as hard as Suji does. Suji will hide and then pounce. Kind of like Fuji. Fuji and Suji are very similar in that sense. They're boy and girl, but very similar. And Baji is his own entity. He's very different. He hunts more restfully. He generally lets his sister do the hunting. He like enjoys the fruits of her labor. Hi, Baji. Hi. Hello. See, now Suji can't actually see it, but she is noting his motion, and that's how she knows that something is up here. She's a very mindful, very alert huntress, and very agile. Look at her butt. Look at her little butt. That's a butt. It's a butt move, a butt shake. Yeah, they're energetic. Look at that. Suji! Good job, Suji! Good job! Go, Suji, go! I wish if I could be as energetic as your cats at the moment. I'm so tired. Callie, I understand. They also get a lot of rest. Wow, Fuji! Wow, Fuji! Fuji Baba! Good job, Fuji! Good job! Good job! What's this? Suji, are you gonna get it? Callie, did you have school today? Is that why you're tired? I know it's a holiday in the US, but it might not be a holiday in the UK, so I wonder. Oh, good job, Suji! Wow, or not Suji, Fuji. Sorry. Fuji Baba! Good job! Wow! Wow, Fuji, Suji, Baji. Oh, good job. Good job, babies. You did such a good job, baby. Good baby to. Koto bhalo. Such a good girl. Good girl. Fuji. Fuji Baba. Fuji Baba is very shy when he plays. Death Dragon, I didn't have school. Yes, I'm asking Callie. Callie might have had school today. Fuji Baba. I have had school today, unfortunately. And I did cheerleading, so obviously I'm tired, of course. Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Indeed, Callie, you can rest. You can just see the energetic cats and rest with us. See, Fuji's over there being shy now. Okay, I was just asking. Yeah. Yes, we're lucky it's a holiday in the US, but not everywhere. So I'm glad it's a restful time for us in the US and everybody else. Hopefully the weekend will help. Baji! Oh ho ho ho. Baji, are you gonna run with them or are you just gonna be on the sofa doing the easy stuff, huh? Doing the easy stuff? See, Baji is very clever. He knows that the laser will come to him on the sofa, so he's not moving much. He's not moving much right now. His head is moving though. His head is moving. He believes in quick neck movements. Fuji's shy. So because Fuji played and he usually likes to play just with me. Actually no, he likes to play with them too. But at this time he's feeling shy and he's probably in the stairs waiting. Fuji Baba. Fuji. Ashbe. Fuji? Are you gonna come? Are you gonna come? Oh, I'm tired of standing. I'm tired of standing. Okay, how is everybody else doing? How is everyone doing? Fuji. I'm doing good. Yay. What's this? What's this? What's this? I'm all right. Okay. Good. Good, good, good. It's been very rainy here. All right. Well, Baji, are you ready for some physics lessons now? After playtime, we will have to study. Baji is doing his playtime and then he will study. Right, Baji? Little bit of playtime and then study. Baji has homework too, guys. Baji, Suji, and Fuji have homework as well. Oh, did you see that? She does so many different movements. She jumped up on the sofa and then she pounced back down on the floor. Wow, Death Dragon. Death Dragon has a very strict announcement. Thankfully, I think we're past that point now, Death Dragon. Nobody else is doing anything, which is anything sketchy. So we're all good at this time. Baji! Okay. All right, I think Baji's done playing for the moment. And Suji is intermittently playing. That reminds me I have to do homework on Saturday. Aw, hi Suji. I have to do homework on Saturday. I'm doing a Christmas fair stool at my school on Sunday, so I can't leave my homework until the last minute. Oh yeah? You can do the homework with us, Callie. We will be doing homework too here. So here we are. All right, we're ready to just chill now. Let's just chill and do some homework together. Baji will give you company. Right here, Baji. Baji Baba is ready for homework now. Baji, homework time? What, you have school on Saturday and Sunday? I'm doing a Christmas fair. Yeah, I think she said she has an event on Saturday. No, I just have to do work at home usually. Callie is very hardworking. And Baji has a dog toy. Baji, are you gonna show them your dog toy? Did you get the litter hopper for your litter robot or just a litter hopper? The kitty babysitter is asking. One afternoon, 5 acres. To know it. What the frick? Okay. My mom is texting me something that made no sense, but whatever. Really? Dog toy with a cat. Yes. Baji has a dog toy. Baji will show his dog toy. He has a dog toy. That's his favorite toy. I mean, for playing, his favorite toy is the laser pointer, but he also has a dog toy. I used to do the gymnastics on Saturday. That was a pain, to be honest. I hated it, but I got myself out of it finally. Oh, that's sad. Anyways, I just realized we've got the goal of 3,000 subscribers. Well done. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Are we there? Thank you. Appreciate it, everyone. That's amazing. Thank you so much, everybody, for subscribing, liking, sharing. Please share the channel with your friend or family members, anybody that you know. We have a lot of fun here. We catch up, we hang out, but we also, in general, just have a good time, and we also do a lot of learning, amazing topics and things like that. There is Fuji and Suji, and here is Baji. Thank you so much. We also cover physics topics, so the lives can be a lot of fun and also a lot of information and learning. So again, thank you so much for subscribing. I think you'll find it a joyful and learning journey. I'm really excited that we're all here. Yay! I just have to send a few texts, so I was doing that. Here is Baji's dog toy. Look at that. This is his favorite toy. It makes a noise like that. Baji, this is your favorite, right? So here is Baji with his favorite toy, which happens to be a dog toy. But Baji's a little bit like a doggy, so that's why he might be liking this dog toy. And also he likes the laser pointer. Thank you so much. explaining to the kitty babysitter that the Hi, Cool Saber. We genuinely don't talk about the fact I also have dog toys for plushies. I swear they're just too cute for me to deny sometimes. Basically, I'm saying I have dog toys for one of my plushies because some of them happen to be too cute to deny. Good. Yes, dog toys are pretty cute. So, Fuji. Fuji. No Fuji. Oh, hi. Hi, Saber. How are you? So the little room is right here with the door closed, and then cool. That is quick and easy, anyways. Yeah. Yep. Little robot. I am explaining to their babysitter about the litter robot business because Baji has been interrupting its cycle. We have to put it on a manual mode. Baji, Suji, Fuji. Perfect. Thanks, Trip. Thank you. Hello, guys. Hi, Kay. Baji, congratulations on 3K subs. Happy evening. Watch this later. Now, snowstorm chasing Han in Pennsylvania, New York, Baji. Oh, wow. Is there a snowstorm in Pennsylvania and New York? You'll watch this later. Have a fun time snowstorm chasing. Hope it goes well. Yes. I think Heike is saying that he will be watching the snowstorm chasing. Fuji! Fuji. Yeah, he is putting the cat emoji. Why? Why do you ask? Yay! It's good to see you, Heike. Oh, Baji is sleeping. Okay. How is everyone's day going? Yes. Yes. Good. Okay. We will do a little bit of reading soon here. So hang tight. Hang tight, hang tight, hang tight. I'm just making sure my babysitter knows all of the things. She was asking, did you get the litter hopper for your litter robot or just the litter robot? No hopper. Did you? Then I said, and then this one. So just make sure that okay. So we will just leave the blinds open in the bedroom upstairs and lock up all doors, not in the way out of set the post. Here it will go and just put in there. Thank you. I'm going to, but I thought I'd ask you just in case you had it. The little robot. Mm, okay. Okay. Mm-mm-mm-mm. I'm going to, but I thought I'd ask you just in case you had it. Well, I'm just going to do no now. Okay, so hang tight, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience and for being here. We will do a little bit of reading. So, Callie, since you're here, I thought you might be interested in a particular book that we've been reading. It's called The Madame Curie Complex. So let me show you. This is called The Madame Curie Complex, The Hidden History of Women in Science, and it is by Julie Desjardins. So we just kind of got a little bit of a taste of this book. It's written by somebody who was interested in pursuing science, but pretty much kind of veered towards a more of a history or a historian or history of science type of direction. And she kind of explores, the various roles and situations of women who have been in science and sort of how their journeys have been. Also, as this book mentioned, it's really about the hidden history of women in science. So a lot of women in science who have not really received the credit that they might have deserved, things like that. And also pretty much the women who are notable in science, kind of how their journey progressed, sort of what was the differences in their various approaches and lives. And also, just real quick, this says the Madame Curie complex. Of course, Marie Curie or Madame Curie was an extremely larger than life figure in physics and chemistry. She worked on basically on radiation, radioactive elements, things like that. You'll see, we'll read much more about that going forward, but she had these very big contributions to those fields, and she actually received the Nobel Prize in both physics and chemistry. And as far as I know, she might even be the only person to have ever done that. We can, of course, Google this and verify and confirm. So, feel free to correct me if there has been anybody else who also did that. But pretty much, this was a really, really big deal. And she is somebody that a lot of women scientists look up to. And, at the same time, because her life might be or might seem like sort of perfect, or that she managed a lot of different things all together, people might even feel a bit of a Marie Curie or Madame Curie complex is part of the discussion here. Also, the author notes that somebody like Albert Einstein, of course, was a huge figure in physics, and a lot of people look up to him. So that, when you have these stereotypical figures, even though a lot of it is inspiring, maybe aspirational, but it can also sort of give you an idea for what a scientist looks like or what a scientist should be like. And it can have sort of these different effects. So that's kind of the vein of things. Of course, I'm giving you a very quick summary to kind of tell you about the book, but that, we will get into much more detail of this going forward here. We will be talking about, so for example, we already read the first part of this book. We already got an introduction to the author and everything like that. Callie is saying, by coincidence, my class name is named after Mary Curie, so it is a research point of my education in school. Well, Callie, you're in luck. We're going to be covering Mary Curie here on the channel, so feel free to stay on and, yeah, come back and listen to us as we discuss Mary Curie, referencing this book. This is a textbook that is used in universities, or sorry, I don't want to say it's a textbook. It's sort of it's a book that, for example, I was asked to read as part of a class in university. So it's a good reference, and I thought it would be good as a book to cover, as well as a book that helps us to discuss this topic. So that's why I chose this book. It was actually I have a little thing in my mouth here. Okay, I think that's good now. It was a book that we referenced in a class for women and gender studies. So yeah, thank you. I have to leave in 25 minutes, but I'll try to stay for as long as possible. That's okay. So thank you so much for being here. We will get started now. But pretty much this is going to be an interesting discussion. And we will get started with Madame Curie's American Tours, Women and Science in the 1920s. So another interesting thing is, of course, the time period that we are going to be covering as part of this topic is also the 20th century, the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, 1940s timeline. So sort of the first half of the 20th century. This is also the time period that we have been covering from Einstein's Cosmos by Michio Kaku. So we just actually finished a book that we read fully and also discussed physics and other topics from my own background. So we kind of discussed it sort of in a wholesome way. But we utilized Einstein's Cosmos, as well as we looked up certain topics from other books as well. And these other books were actually textbooks that are used to teach physics and astronomy in university. So we did all of that, and we had covered the 20th century physics in that way. And Einstein's Cosmos was a good book for that because, it's not it's not like a rigid science book. It's more of a popularized or popular science book. And we were able to look at a lot of topics in an accessible way. But we saw, however, in that book that there was very little mention of women scientists or women physicists in that book. It was, of course, written from a male perspective and mainly on a male figure, of course, Einstein, who is, again, another extremely larger than life and huge figure in science and in physics particularly. And of course, many, again, are inspired by him, but he also gives us this sort of a mad scientist and stereotype of, if you look something like Einstein, then you're a scientist, and people might also kind of struggle to identify themselves as a scientist if they are not similar to him. So these are certain discussion points that we covered in this class when I took it, for example, which is the fact that we look upon these historical figures in more ways than one, and people's perspective of what a scientist looks like, what a scientist should behave like, and, their background and all of that stuff really affects people even now as they move forward with their decisions about what they would like to do in their life and careers. So because we covered Einstein's Cosmos, this will be a little bit like a review as well. So it's nice. We will touch upon some of the same topics, but we will see it from this other perspective, from a different author's perspective, from Julie Desjardins' perspective. And also, she is more of a historian. So it's not going to be from a scientist or hard scientist perspective. Although I want to make sure that I'm not saying that wrong. Hopefully, I did catch that in the first introduction part that we read as well, that she is more of a historian at this point. But she did have interest in science, but sort of upon reaching adolescent years, she realized that she was not going to go into science. And a lot of girls actually fall out of science and math at that same age. So it is something to consider. It's something to, learn about as to why that happens, and see if we can do something differently for our own lives and the people that we know ourselves. So, these are all very interesting topics, and the more we learn about these from various different diverse perspectives, the better off we will be. So, again, we have read Einstein's Cosmos by Michio Kaku, a male scientist author about a male physicist in the past, and also Michio Kaku is a string theorist. So, we've got that perspective already, and we have covered a number of very interesting topics by doing so. Now we will look at the same time period from a woman's perspective and keeping a woman central figure in mind, and that is Mary Curie. So Madame Curie's American tours, Women in Science in the 1920s. So we're talking about that period now. It was an interview to relish. The reclusive Madame Curie agreed to sit with American editor Mary Mattingly Melanie for a profile to be published in Melanie's magazine, The Delineator. Stephanie Lauzon, editor-in-chief of Le Matin, had been following the Nobel laureate's story for years. So Madame Curie at this point is already a Nobel laureate. We actually saw in Einstein's Cosmos that when Einstein was sort of up and coming, Mary Curie was already a well-known name at that time. So she was already very well-known, very famous, but at the same time, sort of how a woman's fame works is kind of different from a man's fame. I would say that Mary Curie, even though, she's sort of synonymous with a woman scientist at this point. A lot of people, when they think of women scientists, they think of her. And so you can see how people, especially women, might want to identify with her or find some sort of inspiration from her. But at the same time, that particular approach can have its pros and cons, is what we will discuss here, but also kind of keeping an open mind to just in general learning about this. She will see no one. He warned Melanie. She cannot understand why scientists rather than science should be discussed in the press. For all her attempts to prevent it, Curie's had become a household name. She had not made a public appearance in 15 years, and yet she agreed to meet this American journalist in 1920. So Mary Curie was not a very outgoing, open person. As far as I remember from this book myself and studying this sort of topic in the past, she was not exactly, like Einstein was very flamboyant, very outgoing. He loved to give big talks on his work and communicate that to the whole world. And a lot, some scientists are like that, but a lot of male and female scientists are actually very opposite. They're very introverted. They like to stick to themselves and just do their work and do their science. And Mary Curie, as much as she's so famous and everybody knows her name, they might not know a lot of other women's names. We might not know a lot of other more hidden women in the history of science, but Mary Curie is the one that we do know. She is a household name. Whether we know her very well or not, her name is famous. So it's kind of a paradox in the sense that she probably did not mean to be so famous. And maybe there are many such women who didn't really mean to be famous, and nor did they become famous for what it's, whether that's sad or happy for them or for the rest of us. But Mary Curie somehow became very famous. And that's probably because her accomplishments are really, really big, really, really huge. And we will discuss the unique sort of situation of her life that might have also kind of helped her. But of course, she did just, I don't know, an extraordinary amount of work, because winning 2 Nobel Prizes is not at all an ordinary accomplishment, even in terms of other Nobel laureates. She is somebody who stands out immensely, okay? Melanie had met famous scientists before. She had grown up near the estate of the illustrious Alexander Graham Bell, a breeder of horses that she yearned to ride. And only weeks before arriving in Paris, she had stood in the laboratories of Thomas Alva Edison, eyeing the newfangled equipment at his command. She decided that once scientific prowess brought not only admiration, but also great financial reward. In Pittsburgh, she had seen the smokestacks of the greatest radium reduction plants in the world. And yet, when she reached the physics building at the Rue Pierre Curie, the originator of this technology was a pale, timid woman surrounded by nothing but surrounded by nothing that would suggest material gain for her efforts. So she was very humble. Um, when she reached the physics building at the Rue Pierre Curie, the originator of this technology. Oh my gosh! Yeah. Hello? Yeah, hi. I'm just rereading that sentence. I think it's in Pittsburgh, she had seen the smokestacks of the greatest radium reduction plants in the world. So she's talking about the radium reduction plants. It's almost like her work was visible quite literally. Like, smoke was in the sky from the plants doing the radium reduction. She's, of course, the person who worked on radium and discovered all this stuff that we will talk about. But then she herself, the originator of this technology, was a pale, timid woman surrounded by nothing that would suggest material gain for her efforts. So it's almost like she wanted to be a little bit invisible, but her work itself was quite visible, literally in the world. So her office was sparse, even to an untrained eye. The facilities looked inadequate. Curie rubbed the tips of her fingers over and over the pad of her thumb, a habit she had developed while trying to regain feeling lost in her hands. For her, scientific discovery had not led to riches, but physical and material sacrifice. So, these people worked, these people worked with basically hazardous materials, and this affected their life and their well-being. But they prioritized scientific discovery. Indeed, they sacrificed themselves to a large extent. And even though their discoveries, their work might have led to things that were literally changing the world and for everyone to see and experience, but they themselves might have just kind of sacrificed their lives and comforts for this. That the two women would hit it off famously could not have been predicted, for Melanie was in many ways Curie's younger antithesis. An important person in the U.S. editing world and in New York society, she had started out as a reporter for the Washington Post, but had become one of the most influential women of American media. She exuded social grace, money, and a penchant for publicity. Curie, a Pole who had emigrated to France to pursue science, was not interested in appearances, including her own. So Mary Curie was not somebody who wanted to dress up and look really nice and flashy and, get a lot of attention in that way. And honestly, such a woman, is in her own league. Does she really need to do anything when she has done everything already in terms of her accomplishments? It's almost like her work speaks so loudly. She could disappear, and she indeed, obviously has disappeared. At this point, she's no longer alive. But look at us, we're discussing her. This woman is absolutely larger than life, absolutely, memorable, and in history has such a large spot. And excited to cover her in more detail here. She dressed plainly, typically in black, and preferred to be undisturbed by anyone at home or in the lab. Male colleagues she met at professional meetings thought her terse and disagreeable. Small talk was not her métier. Her closest confidant since her husband's death in 1906 was her daughter Irene, a young physicist who was like her mother in interest and temperament. Despite their differences, however, Curie and Melanie were also working mothers who understood each other's struggle to balance professional and family obligations. So she was just a very, work and family only kind of person. She, dedicated herself to her work and her family, and that was it. She was not interested in being very outgoing and flashy. Mary Curie. So this is what's so interesting, which is that she became so very famous in spite of that. Whereas there are many names that are less famous or we might not have heard of, but hers is extremely famous. The interview at the Sorbonne lengthened into informal talks during Curie's personal time. Melanie became Missy and Curie Mary. A mutual affection took root that lasted the rest of their lives. Melanie felt confident that her readers wanted to hear from the reclusive scientist, for Americans had been following her story for years. So, as I was saying, Mary Curie is already very famous at this point when this interview story is happening. She has already won Nobel Prizes. Her husband is already dead. That's basically, it's not like she's starting off at this time. She's already spent a lifetime contributing immensely. And so I'm not surprised that she's already famous, but at the same time, it was a little bit paradoxical because she was so introverted and because women were so easily forgotten. She's a paradox and an exception in that case that, she was extremely famous. Melanie felt confident that her readers wanted to hear from the reclusive scientist, for Americans had been following her story for years. In 1904, Vanity Fair had presented Mary and Pierre as a couple, months after they had together won the Nobel Prize for radioactivity. So they together won the Nobel Prize for radioactivity. There's a story with that as well. Mary appeared to be a puzzling contradiction, a brilliant scientist who was nevertheless also the woman behind the man in the Curie partnership. So this is what I was talking about. A lot of people think that she achieved something kind of tremendously paradoxical. You would think maybe that if somebody, especially in that day and age, and even now, if you're that brilliant of a scientist and that amazing in your career, maybe you're not as into your family. Especially for women, it can be hard to balance both because, society does not really view men and women equally. There are sort of different opportunities or different burdens placed on women, which make it hard for them to balance both. But she worked together with her husband. They were incredibly brilliant people. She had brilliant contributions and extraordinary achievements, as well as she had a successful marriage and relationship. This was something that kind of how shall I put it, kind of stunned people. And even now, this is part of that Curie complex. People are complexed by this, that this is a lot to achieve. Maybe you need to achieve all of this in order to be successful, is a pressure that people might feel, is part of the author's discussion here. Although she was the co-discoverer of radium, so she co-discovered radium, she was also the person responsible for family domesticity and image, confirmed by another woman journalist who covered the Curies at home for The World Today the same year. The domestic image may have seemed to diminish her as a scientist, yet young women with career aspirations saw her differently, as a model of grace and competence outside the home. When Curie won her second Nobel Prize in 1911, wow. So she won a second Nobel Prize. Are you serious? She had a whole family, home life. She had already won a Nobel Prize, and in 1911 she won another Nobel Prize. I mean, that is something I don't even know if there's another person there, who is like that. This is incredible that she did that. Science editor James McKean Cattell cast her in Science and Popular Science Monthly in an overtly feminist light, calling her rejection from the Académie des Sciences a tragedy for women scientists and science alike. The journalistic treatment of Curie was startling, given the paucity of coverage on women scientists generally in the American press. So this is what I was saying. It's almost like all of the usual rules applied to all of the other women, and the rule towards Curie was different. She was actually covered extremely well by the press, both her family life as well as her professional achievements, which is amazing. It gives us an example to follow, but also, why it didn't happen for more women is also a question that we might want to ask. Taking into account scientists both as authors and biographical subjects, male scientists were 15 times more visible than their female counterparts in mainstream magazines. Journalists described science as an endeavor requiring culturally virile attributes. Emotional detachment, intellectual objectivity, even physical strength at times. In 1920, a Columbia scientist described the eminent chemists of his day as the Dickenses, the Thackeray's, and the Wells of the field. Then he heralded Curie as the Columbus who discovered another continent in science. Feigning amnesia about her gender to write about her in grandiose terms. So basically, her achievement was so big. Uh, but there's basically, I think the author is a little bit confused about how well she was accepted. Now, of course, her accomplishments are amazing and huge and extraordinary, but she's noting also that Curie wasn't really, this other, the male scientists who were covered 15 times more than the women. It's not like she was really one of them. It's almost like she was this exception that still got a lot of press. I mean, good for her. We're so happy about that, but it's worth discussing and worth it. It's remarkable that she was so different and yet received all this press. Oh my God, there is a bike being crazy in this neighborhood. Still, even as Melanie talked about Curie, or talked with Curie, American women stood on the brink of winning suffrage. It was the increasing reality that domestic women were making inroads into political, professional, and public endeavors. So it was really about that. If she had been only just a career woman, if she was only accomplished in career, maybe American women would not be so shocked. It was the fact that she balanced both that caught their attention as being this almost unachievable example. How do you do so well in your professional life in the and by so well I mean she won 2 Nobel Prizes. That's not just so well, that's like outer space well, outer worldly well, a larger than life well. But also she balanced it with her family life, which is what caught the attention of American women, because they might have thought, oh my God, like, can we do this too? Can we also do professionally well a lot, like Mary Curie? Because, we have a domestic life that we're trying to balance, and she did it. Like, if she could balance her domestic life so well with her professional achievements, is that possible to do? It was the increasing reality that domestic women were making inroads into political, professional, and public endeavors. Melanie thought that writing of Curie's achievements might allow other science-minded women to gain social acceptance. So she was hoping that Marie Curie would be this big example, like a role model for other women who might have domestic lives, but who might also be science-minded, and maybe they would be encouraged to follow in her footsteps. And who better than Curie to inspire an educated readership? She held a doctorate degree, had won Nobel Prizes, multiple Nobel Prizes, and had proved that despite the odds, a woman could reach the highest echelons of her chosen professional field, even while rearing 2 fatherless daughters, because she also lost her husband and raised the 2 daughters. She was a single mother and a world-class scientist. Just think about that. A single mother and a world-class scientist. I mean, extraordinary, just amazing. An everyday woman who made greatness look reachable. Melanie thought American women would see her as an icon for achieving it all: marriage, family, and career. So this is the thing. This type of achievement where you achieve it all, marriage, family, and career, can either be very, very inspiring more and more people, more and more women to go out and do this, but can also create a bit of a complex where you think that, wow, do I have to achieve all of this in order to be like Marie Curie, It can lead to a little bit of a complex. But as she told her story, Curie's frustrations became apparent. French science was impoverished after World War I, making it impossible. I'm just looking at the time here. Making it impossible to procure radium, the very element she had discovered, and as a result, her research had been curtailed. She could account for the locations of some 50 grams of radium in the United States. 4 were in Baltimore, 6 in Denver, 7 in New York, and in France, Melanie queried. My laboratory has hardly more than a gram, Curie replied, and that bit was available only for extracting emanations for cancer treatment in hospitals. Melanie begged for clarification. You have only a gram? I have none. It belongs to my laboratory. Wow. But surely revenues from the patent of radium can pay for more, Melanie suggested. There were no patents, Curie corrected. We were working in the interest of science. Radium is an element. It belongs to all people. Wow, amazing academic. So this is a true blue academic, professor, scientist person. She, she probably believed knowledge should be free. People should have access to knowledge. People should have access to her research and to all research. That she had discovered radium as an element. Literally, she had just made a discovery in science, and that belonged to all people. She did not have a patent on it. She was a scientist. Scientists don't, scientists could think about monetary gain, but this particular scientist was a very pure, very academic, very, doing science because of doing science, for the motivation of science itself. That is enough for her. Now, I don't know if that's a very practical thing to do, really, because you might want to also take care of yourself. But this is sort of the essence of a scientist in her most purest form. She really, really, really just did the science for science, and it belonged to everyone. Curie thought it wrong to profit from her discovery, and yet the discovery had most assuredly lined the pockets of chemical producers back in the United States. So this is what I mean. Like, she's not trying to profit from science. She believes that science belongs to people. This is a purely academic, purely scientific kind of approach, and that she held, now I have the deepest respect for that. But at the same time, of course, her discovery had made other people rich. And I do think it's a little bit sad that, maybe she wasn't as taken care of as she deserved. But this is the, basic essence of a scientist, the most purest essence of a scientist who does science for science and for all people to have access to that science and not to profit from it. Maybe we should profit from it a little bit, but Marie Curie is the epitome of, a scientist, just like the best, most amazing, pure scientist. Hi, Callie. Hey, I have to go now. I'll catch up with y'all another time. Bye. Bye, Callie. See you later. She's not spamming. Death Dragon, I think you need to break from your moderator duties. Well, but she didn't deserve that comment, though. I don't want you to be, overly strict to the friends of the channel. Thank you for being here, Callie. See you next time. Thank you, Death Dragon. Hang tight. Curie thought it wrong to profit from her discovery, and yet the discovery had most assuredly lined the pockets of chemical producers back in the United States. American companies had mastered her processes to become the foremost producers of her coveted radium. So, I do, now that I'm reading this book, a little bit older and more mature too, you know what it is? She became really famous because I think so many people profited from her discovery. I feel like the topic that she worked on too was so coveted. I mean, she became really famous, first of all, because she deserves it. But other people, other women especially, might have also deserved recognition and didn't receive it, like her. I wonder if that's because of the topic. This radium topic, her discovery of the element of radium and all the work she did in that line of work is so profitable to so many people. I wonder if that's what gave her so much visibility, well-deserved visibility, but at the same time, it's almost like, yeah, I don't know. It might even have been because of the greed of other people. But she was so pure, though. She's not greedy. She didn't believe in profiting from her discovery, but a lot of other people did. So, American companies had mastered her processes to become the foremost producers of her coveted radium. Standard Chemical Company of Pittsburgh was responsible for more than half the 140 grams in existence worldwide, but it wasn't cheap. So what she did, did not lead to cheap technology, but it's not like she was necessarily becoming rich from it. Such is science, though. This is like the most, purest story of scientists. That, sometimes the scientists who actually do the work to progress the science and to discover the element and to give us the scientific work don't actually become rich at all, but a lot of other companies who leverage it are the ones who do get rich. But that's not where the scientist's mind is at. If her mind was thinking about profiting, we would probably not get the brilliant results from her that we did get. Her mind is busy doing something much more important, if you will. But I feel like, though, we as a society should take care of our scientists better because obviously they're busy doing something really important. So, medical researchers bought it in milligram increments for $120 a piece. And Curie needed more, at least a gram if she could get it. Melanie listened intently, the wheels turning in her mind. She prided herself on making things happen. She was going to get Curie her radium. So the woman who discovered radium did not have access to it. It was expensive. Lots of people were after it. They wanted it for their own technologies and profitable endeavors and whatnot. And the woman who's trying to do more research on it did not have access to it herself, or had access to very limited of it. Thank you, Dead Dragon. I'm not going to be here tomorrow. Okay. Thank you for joining today, and thank you for chatting. Yeah. Relax with us, and thank you for being here. A public relations strategy developed. Okay. A public relations strategy developed in her imagination in the form of a story that would play out the pages of the Delineator and major publications throughout the United States. It had all the elements of an American legend in the making, a tale of travesty about a woman and mother who had sacrificed for the world but had received nothing in return. This woman had endured abject poverty to discover the element that was the leading cure for cancer, but had refused to patent its production so that the researchers of the world could study it readily. She should have been heralded as a saint, and yet the price of her altruism was a debilitating lack of funds, not for her own creature comforts, but for humanity, who continued to suffer without her life-saving research. I had been prepared to meet a woman of the world, enriched by her own efforts and established in one of the white palaces of the champs of the... Okay, no, I can't say champs. I have to say this right. Champs-Élysées or some other beautiful boulevard of Paris. I read the first word. It's spelled as CHAMPAS, but I know it's Champs-Élysées or something like that in France. Melanie wrote, but Madame Curie was a simple woman working in an inadequate laboratory and living in an inexpensive apartment on the meager pay of a French professor. So she's in France now. I want to kind of visit her lab, actually. I wonder if it's like a little museum where she used to work in Paris. So, but yeah, honestly, I'm not surprised at all. As somebody who's been in academia, it's not surprising to me that academics are poor, that they do world-class, amazing research, Nobel Prize or not. In this case, of course, she won 2 Nobel Prizes. But you know what? winning 2 Nobel Prizes means that that's how hard she worked and that's how much she focused on her scientific research. That actually, that type of effort actually leaves very little time or energy left for any other things. That does not really leave her much room to become more worldly, to become greedy, to go after money. If that's where her mind was at, she would not be able to do the research. Like, this research is not a small amount of work, right? It's a Herculean and times infinity times of work, type of work. Somebody who's as busy as Mary Curie, somebody who's as productive, winning 2 Nobel Prizes in her life, like, I don't think she has the time. You know what I mean? Like, that's why we need other support to make sure that such a person is okay. Because she would not have the time to become worldly and understand money. Those are those are much lesser things for a mind like Madame Curie. So I'm sad that she wasn't better taken care of, to be honest. And this is the case for a lot of academics and a lot of really amazing researchers. But normal people think, oh, wow, this smart lady must really know how to, be super worldly and have expensive things and stuff like that. Like, there's nothing wrong with expensive things, but, she just doesn't have the bandwidth for anything like that. She's too busy. Like, do you know how much work it takes to do research, and that too world-class research, and that too enough to like publish and give talks on and do more work on so that you get a Nobel Prize and another Nobel Prize? Like, she doesn't have time to do anything else. Like, you don't expect her to be worldly, expect her to be very focused, the greatness comes with probably a lack in other things, and that is to be expected, to be honest. And even then, she was also balancing family, raising 2 daughters. I mean, that's already too much, like, that's too much. The synopsis seemed extreme to Curie, who insisted that French scientists worked under modest conditions all the time, but Melanie wouldn't hear it. In the United States, she told Curie many women had money, and when she returned from Paris, she would write letters to the wives of physicians in major medical societies. Melanie planned a broad campaign that would bring together an odd mix. Actually, this is exactly what's needed. Such a person needs other people to help with the funds and with the other things so that she can get the support that her research and she needs. You can't do it alone. That's the thing for women to learn as well. You have to get the help that you need in order to properly take care of yourself, your family, and get what you need for your greatness to kind of continue. Like, we're talking about someone with immense greatness, and that level of greatness does not happen with a normal lifetime effort, right? It happens with an extreme amount in one direction, and leads to probably a lack in other directions. So I'm glad that she was getting this help, and that's exactly what all the women need to keep in mind, is that you probably need to team up with other people and collaborators in order for the greatness to continue. So Melanie is the one who is now helping her, and she planned out a broad campaign that would bring together an odd mix of different people: cancer researchers, academic scientists, chemical companies, and women with money and social connections. American science had grown quickly after World War I, so that government funding was no longer enough to maintain it, and the age of fundraising in the name of science as a social cause had emerged. Melanie hoped to exploit Curie's image, just as chemical companies were exploiting Albert Einstein's, to raise funds for themselves and his educational initiatives overseas. But the campaign could only succeed if donors perceived the scientist and her work as forces of benevolence. When Alice Hamilton and Ellen Swallow Richards were praised in the press for the healing applications of their work, American women who wanted to emulate them entered nursing and medical fields in larger numbers than ever before. Wow. But they studied organic material rather than the lifeless stuff of physical science. Melanie's promotional strategy necessarily had to reinvent Curie's physics, turning inanimate radium into a regenerative force for healing, and re envision Curie's life, turning her into a benevolent lady. So, this is like some public relations and marketing that she's doing for Curie to get more people interested and to help out with funds. Basically, it's like Curie needed a little bit of a PR help. Basically, the press coverage on medical radium strengthened Melanie's view of how to proceed. The New York Times reported more than 150 deaths directly linked to cancer and radium research. Its victims, including men who had once worked under the Curies themselves, as more of the world's radium experts succumbed to mysterious symptoms. Curie's commitment to research seemed all the more heroic in Melanie's hands. The burns on her fingers, the jaundice and worsening cataracts made Curie a martyr to behold. The findings of her research would be her gift to the world. So yeah, I mean, they were both sick from doing this research. The discoverers of radium had a very hazardous job. Curie had other compelling reasons to team up with American sponsors. During World War I, she had been charmed by the simple demeanor of the young American soldiers who came to Paris to study radioactivity. She was also grateful to Andrew Carnegie, who had established a fund to keep her lab staffed after the death of Pierre. Over the years, American women had expressed their admiration for her work, but she still couldn't imagine what would compel them to write checks, or in most cases to have their husbands write checks so that a French scientist could pursue her research. Melanie explained that they would see a mutually beneficial arrangement before them. As they raised money for her radium, they would exploit her image for their humanitarian and professional ends. This was false advertising, Curie told her. She had abstained from ideological movements her whole life to work in the spirit of pure science. This is what I was mentioning before. She was very much a pure scientist at heart. She's doing science for the sake of science, very, very in the essence of a scientist. That's what she was, and wanted nothing to do with developing medical applications for radium or advancing the cause of women. Don't taint my radium with agendas, she implored. It absolutely must belong to science. So she was a scientist. She was doing this for science. Other people may have other agendas, and it might help to bring her more funds. And I think over time, scientists may have become more smart about this, but at their core, at their heart, they do it for science and not for those other things. Primarily, a perfect strategy in the eyes of a privileged career woman like Melanie was apparently not acceptable to a scientist like Curie. To base a campaign on her maternal motivations was to make her look emotional, subjective, and hence defective to male scientists. The maternalism that women evoked to win access to college and the vote was antithetical to the idea of science that Curie had internalized and come to revere. But for the sake of obtaining her radium, she deferred to Melanie. It was all about the science in the end. So Curie was resistant to this type of campaign and this type of obtaining funds because she didn't want to falsely advertise her intentions. Her intentions lay with science, not really to do the other, what she considered more maternal intentions, because she thought of science as very purely objective and devoid of all that emotion and other aspects, basically. But she deferred. Nonetheless, it's about getting the funds anyway to do the research, right? So anyway, against her better judgment, Curie began writing a biographical piece to be distributed in the United States. Meanwhile, Melanie called on her connections in the world of publishing to get dozens of articles into print during the coming months. Current History magazine printed The Story of Radium in America. Dr. William Mayo, Mayo Clinics, asked Delineator readers, "Do you fear cancer?" drawing out anxieties that supporting Curie's work would presumably allay. Although these pieces were not explicitly about Curie, they set the stage for solicitations on her behalf by dramatizing the dangers of cancer and its study. Articles that followed emphasized Curie's importance to the field and shaped images of her that were appealing enough to make Americans open their hearts and checkbooks for the medical breakthroughs she ostensibly represented. Editors for Century magazine and Current Opinion were hardly subtle, calling Curie a Jeanne d'Arc of the laboratory and the most famous woman in the world. And she is. She is one of the most famous women in the world, if not the most famous. I mean, she might even be. At that point, she might even have been the most famous woman. Even now, she might be the most famous woman in the world. Everybody knows her name, you know? So, like, how many women can we think about off the top of our head that most people in the world like know their name, you know? It was remarkable. Melanie praised her in print for ministering to the agonized people. The front page of her magazine declared Curie's raison d'etre that millions shall not die. Her face, Melanie wrote, was softer, fuller, more human than most. It had suffering and patience in it, as did every line of her slender body. In its totality, hers was the mother look epitomized. Hi, Mr. Mega Hacker. Hello. So, this advertising was to help Marie Curie's efforts with funding, but they were definitely trying to picture her as sort of a maternal figure and kind of drawing upon all these things that might appeal to people to then move them to help her, you know. Melanie's publicity campaign was designed to appeal to a wide swath of people. Modern career women would admire Curie's professional competence, ambitious young people, her self-making. She had achieved the American dream, even if not on American soil, pulling herself up by the proverbial bootstraps to work tirelessly for success. Unlike the aristocratic scientists of Europe, she apparently never forgot her modest Polish roots. It was not beneath her, Melanie told readers, to launder her own undergarments, even when she was hosted in homes that had servants. She was the embodiment of the Puritan ethic, much as Americans fancied themselves. Too pure to pursue science formally, she had borrowed books from the factory library and earned money as a governess to purchase a fourth-class ticket from Poland to Paris. With almost nothing but the clothes on her back, the 24-year-old had arrived in the Latin Quarter, where she continued to exercise the frugality of legend. Journalists and biographers sensationalized her student years in a sixth-floor walk-up. Allegedly, she hauled her own wood for a furnace that didn't work and resorted to piling clothes on the bed covers and anchoring furniture on top to create a shield from drafts. So they love this rags to, you know, I mean, I don't know how many riches she achieved, but they love the rags to riches story, you know. So they were definitely going strong with that. Some maintain that she treated herself to an occasional boiled egg or piece of chocolate. Others insisted she lived on tea and crusts of bread. Hi Neeraj. Good morning. People just love a story, you know. And she, much of this could be true, but it's also kind of showing an extreme story kind of helps to appeal to people. All, including Curie herself, described a young woman so fixated on her studies that she didn't think to eat until her body collapsed. Her notebooks were obsessively neat. She graduated physics She graduated first in physics at the Sorbonne in 1893 and second in mathematics a year later. So, wow, she graduated first in physics at the Sorbonne in 1893 and second in mathematics a year later. Wow. Thank you. Like number 18 mera hai. Thank you. Thank you so much. Curie had many professional and social acquaintances, yet biographers insisted that the only person who caught her attention in those monastic years was Pierre, a man of equal intensity. A Polish professor introduced her to the 35-year-old physics professor at L'École Municipale in 1894. In addition to working on crystals and magnetism, he and his brother had inauspiciously discovered piezoelectricity and were using their findings to design instruments, including the electrometer Curie used to confirm the existence of radium. The first gift Pierre offered his future wife was a paper on the symmetry of electric and magnetic fields. So they worked together. This is how a lot of academics meet and get married. Nothing new there. In academia, it's very common if you see a woman physicist that her husband is nearby in the same department. Apparently, something like over 90% of women physicists have a husband who is also a physicist, something like that. So, not too surprised by this. Because, these people work all the time. They might have worked together, collaborated, and eventually fell in love and got married, that type of thing. And because work is such a large part of their life, it's common to just meet at the workplace and even work together, pretty much. Hi, Fuji Babu. How are you? I'm just taking a short break here. Sorry, I'm gonna sip some water. I'm looking at my messages. I'm sharing the live. Neeraj, feel free to share the live with some friends of yours. Maybe we can have a little bit more of a quorum here while I sip some water here. All right, we will keep going in just a second. Fuji. You don't take rest or sleep. It's the evening now. I did sleep at night. It's 4:48 o'clock morning in India. Yeah, sometimes I went to bed kind of late last night, but I did sleep sort of in the morning. Fuji, Garnishana, Turla. Okay, so we will continue. Yeah, it's very early in the morning in India. Okay, so we will get back to Mary and Pierre Curie here. In addition to working on crystals and magnetism, he and his brother, so this is Pierre and his brother, had inauspiciously discovered piezoelectricity and were using their findings to design instruments, including the electrometer Curie used to confirm the existence of radium. The first gift Pierre offered his future wife was a paper on the symmetry of electric and magnetic fields. He must have sensed their unique connection, for there was no better gesture of affection in her eyes. They were kindred spirits, neither ate, slept, or remembered social niceties when in the throes of some scientific question. Pierre loved Mary's commitment to science, Women of her intellect and drive were so rare, he thought, that he had to have her for himself. Their single minded devotion to science should be their gift to humanity, he told her, and she eventually agreed. The path they walked together they described as an anti natural one. They renounced the pleasures in life and pared down all distractions outside their immediate family to live and breathe their research. Yeah. It's a lot of sacrifice when you choose greatness. That's for sure. This meant renting a modest home, eating and dressing plainly, and rarely entertaining guests. All preoccupations with worldly life were excluded from our existence, Mary recalled fondly. In a scientific man, such reclusiveness was expected, but Mary loved Pierre because he accepted the same in her. Um, So, all preoccupations with worldly life were excluded from her existence, Mary recalled fondly. In a scientific man, such reclusiveness was expected, but Mary loved Pierre because he accepted the same in her. So, Mary just loves that, both her and her husband thought very similarly. They were very similar, very devoted to science and sacrificing everything else, pretty much all the pleasures of life and beyond their immediate family to pursue this reclusive life. But not only did Pierre do it himself, he also accepted that in her, and so they found each other to be kindred spirits. So it worked out. खुद का थोड़ा ख्याल रखें. Thank you. Yes, I will. Their wedding in 1895 was simple. There was no exchange of rings or festivities to follow. Mary chose a navy blue dress, versatile enough to wear at the wedding and in the lab afterward. She and Pierre enjoyed a bicycling honeymoon in the French countryside, but they didn't stay away from the lab for long. Yup. A pair of true academics, Pierre resumed his formal position at l'École Municipale, while Mary continued her studies and served as his assistant gratis. Mary agreed to be the homemaker so long as the work was confined to rudimentary tasks. Aside from used furniture relatives had given them, she had very little to keep clean. She was not talented as a cook, but Pierre seemed not to notice what she was feeding him anyway. Their 3-room apartment was on the Rue de la Glacière, in close proximity to the School of Physics, so they could spend more time in the lab. Mary had been investigating the magnetization of tempered steel when recent findings caught her attention. On the heels of Wilhelm Röntgen's discovery of the X-ray, Henry Becquerel, who had been studying uranium salts, had noticed that they emitted special rays. Mary made it her mission to measure them and discern the conditions under which they existed. She confirmed that they were in fact an atomic property of uranium and that samples of thorium behaved similarly, but the rays emitted in her samples of minerals were not commensurate with the amounts of uranium and thorium she knew to be in them. Her observations led her to a theory. The ores contained trace amounts of another substance. Her observations. So this is uranium that they were dealing with, but her observations led her to a theory. The ores contained trace amounts of another substance, one more radioactive than any known element. After grueling experiments, Mary discovered that in fact, 2 new substances were involved. She identified one in 1898 and named it polonium after her homeland. 5 months later, she identified the second element, which came to be known as radium. So over here, she's discovering element after element. Goodness gracious, she discovered polonium and named it polonium after Poland, her homeland. And then also she discovered radium. After 5 months, the problem then became isolating the elements. Pierre was studying crystals but found himself increasingly swept up into his wife's doctoral research. While he studied the properties of radium, Mary extracted pure radium salts. The Austrian government had disposed of tons of pitchblende, a uranium ore which Mary had obtained cheaply in order to begin the painstaking process of purification. She had to dissolve the dusty substance in acid before chemically separating its elements, which meant transferring vast vessels of liquid and precipitate and, with an iron bar, stirring cauldron after cauldron of the substance. So she was very much a physicist as well as a chemist. A lot of this work sounds like chemistry lab work, but also, of course, she is also a physicist. So she won the Nobel Prizes in both, which again, I think is a feat that is only done by her, unless I'm greatly mistaken. The tasks were laborious. They left her exhausted and she fell ill with pneumonia. She extracted thousands of gallons of distilled liquid from her mounds of pitchblende, ultimately yielding amounts of radium solution that barely filled a thimble. The work wasn't glamorous, but it had been romanticized in the American press. This is not glamorous work at all. This lab work is a lot of hard work and not at all glamorous. That is what it is. Science is not glamorous. It sounds glamorous in the stories. It's very glamour free indeed, and a lot of big hard work, labor, after which you really don't have much energy to do anything else. So it's all sounding very consistent, with all that. Readers were transfixed by the image of Pierre and Mary conducting experiments side by side in their dilapidated shed. Inside, they performed the bench work. In the adjoining yard, the bulkier transport of pitchblende. The building's windows were broken and its heating unit didn't work. Dil karta hai le jao tumhe dinner mein. Well, you can always donate to my YouTube channel in the PayPal link in bio if you're feeling bad for me. The building's windows were broken and its heating unit didn't work. At the height of their experiments, Mary logged an indoor temperature of just above freezing. They worked for hours in silence, stopping only to put on sweaters or warm themselves with cups of tea made at a rickety stove. There was one detail publicists made more of than Curie herself. Hey, love your kitty. Thank you, Stephen. Welcome to the live. We're reading about Mary Curie's work here. Welcome. Thank you for joining. There was one detail publicists made more of than Curie herself. Amid the hauling, stirring, measuring, and recording, she had, in fact, given birth to a child. Taking none of the standard precautions of modern nuclear labs, Mary fed Pierre lunch, probably laced with radioactive material. She took in harmful fumes herself, which contributed to her chronic illnesses and her frustrations with nursing. So these people were living very hazardous lives, fully immersed in their rather poisonous work, but they were extremely dedicated and doing life in the midst of that. Hi, Baji. Hi. Hello. Still without qualification, Curie recalled the years in the shed as the happiest of her life, not because of newfound motherhood, but rather because of her unfettered access to scientific work. The bliss only ended when her discovery of radium brought unwanted celebrity, making the anti-natural ideal impossible to maintain. She was entirely in charge of her baby's care, and she was also in the midst of doctoral research. Desperate for domestic help, she searched for wet nurses, housekeepers, and nannies, which also took her away from the lab, as did the additional teaching hours she had to take on to cover the cost of her helpers. She secured a position at a girls' school in Sèvres, well outside Paris. The commute was yet another diversion from the experiments she was desperate to run. Madame Curie, great scientist. People in her time had no idea about radiation in her time. Yeah, indeed. Curie's father-in-law, a widower, came to her aid and helped to care for baby Irene as his own. So this is actually, again, very much resonating. A lot of academics, of course, are so immersed in their work Having a baby is a lot of work, and makes sense that she needed help. And making more money also would mean more teaching duties, a type of work that a lot of researchers often have to do in order to make more money or to subsist, basically, because if the research especially are not bringing in money yet or have grants that can pay them. But that also means less time for research and more logistics to work out day to day. So, looks like her father in law stepped in to help. The balancing act became easier, but even then, Mary thought the baby a distraction, a perspective that American biographers then treated ambivalently, as others have since. Some have insisted that she doted on her daughter, recording the baby's first teeth, steps, and words, and making her clothes by hand. Indeed, some personal notebooks verify these details, but they also read like lab notes, clinical and joyless, for what could not be measured or quantified precisely, she simply left unrecorded. Curie admitted privately that the responsibilities of motherhood kept her from the work she loved the most. The night she isolated her pure radium chloride, she and Pierre left Irene sleeping in her crib to return rain soaked to the lab. Like doting parents, they checked in on their other sleeping baby. So they were really the doting parents of their lab baby. A test tube of radium that filled them with pride when it started to glow. Wow. Your cute kitty reminds me of Mr. Kitty, my 10-year-old cat, just as handsome. Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying. Like doting parents, they checked in on their other sleeping baby, a test tube of radium that filled them with pride when it started to glow. Unambiguously, Curie described radioactivity to one of her students as the child to whom she had given birth. Right? Radioactivity is her biggest baby. And so much work it took too, right? So it makes sense. She would nurture it and devote to it the whole of her working life. Physicist George Sagnac expressed, "Ooh, nice. I'm a crazy cat person. I have 3 gray tabbies. Good." Physicist George Sagnac expressed concern that Mary's unbalanced family life bordered on obsession and neglect. He worried about her health and her daughters. "Don't you love Irene? It seems to me that I wouldn't prefer the idea of reading a paper by Rutherford to getting what my body needs and looking after such an agreeable little girl." Pierre refused to be critical. Ultimately, the baby was his wife's unexpected burden more than his. He was given a full appointment at the Sorbonne as Mary struggled to balance research, teaching, domestic duties, and childcare. This was not the dream he had promised her. Fuji! Fuji! Mary resented her obligations, but never Pierre. He used to say that he got a wife made expressly for him to share all his preoccupations. Neither of us would contemplate abandoning what was so precious to both. Fuji, Garna. Fuji. Wow. Actually, let me take a break and give them a little snack, and I'll get back to the reading in just a second here. But they were a very good match. Both of them were so into their topic, radioactivity, and they worked in the lab together. Pretty much their greatest baby and collaborative effort together was the radioactivity project. And so they had so much fulfillment from that. They understood each other very well. And he understood that she had been kind of bogged down by all these different responsibilities, and that, they understood each other's difficulties, basically mainly her difficulties, because she's the one who's like more burdened at this time with all this, while he already had a more established position, because I think she was younger and more junior, basically his student, right? So I could see that being quite difficult actually for Mary Curie. Too much going on at the same time. I can't imagine having a baby when you're a grad student and doing all this work. It's really not ideal. I love that name, Fuji. Okay, so I'm gonna charge the phone for a little bit actually and give them a snack. Give these babies a little snack, and we will get back to the reading. We'll cover at least a little bit more today. Okay? So thank you for being here. Hang tight. Actually, this reminds me, one of the things that one of my professors in school told me, it was a bit of a weird comment, but I think it was something like, you can be successful in grad school, just don't have a baby and don't have mental illnesses. So, demanding is a small word for describing research and efforts in grad school. So, this is quite a lot that Mary Curie was handling. Quite a lot, indeed. All right. I'll let the phone charge for a second here and give them a snack, okay? Oh. Oh. Stretch my legs. The names are Fuji, Suji, and Baji. Can I ask your cat's names? Yes, Fuji, Suji, and Baji. Baji is the channel is named after Baji, but we have all the little babies here. Thanks to God and thanks to the universe. Hello, my Baba. Bye, Shona. All right, I'm just taking a few minutes time here. I gotta take some sips of water. Please hang tight and stay with us. I'm also charging the phone here, and I might do a few dishes actually while I do that. So thank you for being here. Hang tight. Hi, Fuji Baba. Hi, baby. Give it a sugar. I'm just unloading the dishes, baby, so that more dishes can be available for you guys. Let's do that real quick while the phone is charging. Hi. Let Mama work on that real quick while the phone is charging. Then we'll go back to the reading, okay, babies? Okay. Hello, my children. They're all here. Look at this. हड्डी हड्डी दिख रही है, कुछ खाती पीती नहीं है आप. Where are you seeing my huddy huddy? I once had a black. Where are you seeing this? Where are you seeing that I don't eat? Which what are you talking about? Which content? Which video? And which pic? I don't know. Hello. Hello, hello. Fuji Suji Baji. Shona Chile Shona me. Hi. Hello. With this, all the dishes will be done for Fuji Baba, Suji Mama, and Baji Baba, right? All the kiddos are here helping Mama with the dishes. Khati piti nahi. It was supposed to be white tuxedo. Oh, that's cool. Here, you can help me too with the dishes. My YouTube members. Fuji Baba. Hi, Fuji. Hi. Hi. That's sweet. Good to hear about your kitty cat, Steven. Thank you for sharing. Just charging the phone a little bit more here. We'll get back to it. Baba, Shona, Fuji, Karna, Shona. Oh God, oh God. 1 second. This is done. Okay. Empty, empty, empty. All good. All right. Almost done. Whoops. I dropped something. Empty, all done. Actually, I'm gonna real quick. done with the dishes. I never love doing the dishes. आपका घर काफ़ी सुंदर है, बहुत साफ सफाई रखती हैं घर में. Yes, that's true. I do like to keep it clean. I never love doing dishes and emptying the dishwasher, but it's a necessary evil. Indeed. सारा काम आप ही करती हैं. Yes, I do all of the housework and Kitty and YouTube and everything. Yes, indeed. It is I who do it all. But it's all right. It's just my dishes and kitty cat dishes. They make a lot of dishes. See, all of this is theirs. That's my whey protein that I haven't really eaten much of recently. This is because I forget to take my protein powder. And it's kind of like not the best without milk. And I ran out of milk. This is their bowls. More bowls, more bowls. That's my teapot. That's my iPad. That's my water bottle and hand sanitizer. So they make a lot of bowls with all their different meals and whatnot. And I don't make too many dishes. So I probably have to run it every few days. You know, it's not too bad. Just there is you can do it fast. Like there's a machine for the dishwashing and vacuum cleaners for the cleaning. I have a mop. Yes, that's right. Indeed. I am the matriarch of this family. All right, so I have to use the bathroom actually now. So I will go do that and then I will rejoin everybody here on the live. You might see the kitty cats, but I want to go use the bathroom and then we will continue on Mary Curie's journey here. Fuji! I help with the trash and feeding our cats. Same with our dishes. Even though there are 5 people in my house, we have very few rugs on the floor to vacuum. I see. Well, I vacuumed the floor. You know, don't have too many rugs here either, but I still vacuum the floor here. She sounded like the model of content motherhood. The reality was more complicated. The woman is interesting. So I'm looking at the chapter. We have hardwood and linoleum on our floors. We sweep. We sweep and mop. See you, we can walk there together. Fuji! Hi! Eden Sunlight says, hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. I want to wish you all a happy belated Thanksgiving and hope you all enjoy the holiday. Yes, thank you so much for joining. Oh my god. I will be I will be back. Please enjoy and chat with each other. That's no problem. Please forgive my limited interaction right now. I'm listening as I drive during my rounds feeding the stray cats. I will be back. Please enjoy and chat with each other. Yeah, I'll be right back. I gotta use the bathroom here. Fuji, come baby. Come to mama. Let's go. Let's go up the bathroom together. Fuji, Baji, and Suji. We'll let the phone charge a little bit longer, okay? See you guys very soon. Let me see, is everything good here? Off and off. Off and off and off. Off and off. Okay. Come, Fuji. Hi. We're back. Sorry about the delay. Okay. It's so warm upstairs. Needed a minute. Okay, good. We have lots of charge now on the phone. So that's a good thing. We're going to be covering more of Marie Curie. I don't know if the kitty cats will want another round of foodie or not. But here we are. Okay. So we will continue and make a little bit more progress in this direction. Oh wow. Yeah, they're staying upstairs because it's so much nice and warm up there. Very nice and warm. Very, very nice and warm. Hi Kaya, how are you doing? I have definitely seen you in the channel before. How are you? Hi Fuji Boogie. Wanted some water. I think the kitty cats want their dinner now. I'll do that. Itchy Fuji. Yes, Flowey. Okay, Fuji, 1 second. Here you go, Baji. Fuji, there's no rush. Go ahead. They're getting their dinner. Hurry. Fuji, it's in a big hurry. Good job. Good job. They're in such a big hurry. Look at that. Baji's being a good boy. Eating down there. Fuji, Fuji wanted his up here today. Oh, Suji, here you go. You have more. You have more. You have more. Don't you worry. Mama's feeding. Alright, so we have been discussing Marie Curie's life and how she was a very pure science academic person at heart. And she met Pierre Curie, who was, seems like was sort of her advisor. So it was a bit of an advisor's versus graduate student kind of a romance relationship between them, where she was the grad student, he was the more established scientist already, and they had a child, and that made it kind of difficult for Marie Curie to do a lot of lab work, but they had this single-minded dedication towards their research, and they kind of managed everything else along with it. And she had to pick up some teaching duties as well, but all in all, the radioactivity project was their baby together, like their primary child, along with, they also had, it looks like, a couple of daughters, like real human children as well. So anywho, we will continue in this direction today, talk about it a little bit more. I had to take a bit of a break though, so if you joined during the break, sorry about that. Sorry about the delay. We're just doing a few things here along with the Suji Mama. Here you go, Suji. Excuse me, please eat from your own bowl because that's what we do. Suji. Try to give them the food a little bit slowly because they eat very fast. I think she really likes this one. What food is it? Beef and chicken entree. Beef and chicken. Okay. So after their dinner is done, we will go back to the reading here and the discussion here. Fuji Baba, over here. Okay. Right. Can look at, say hi to Baji. He's still eating slowly from his slow bowl. Someone's wagging their tail. Yeah. For me, science and aviation history are all together, like the science to break the sound barrier. Historic event in 1947 hits home. Hits close to home. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. We will get started here. So we have been reading about Marie Curie. I was just summarizing that a little while ago. And we will continue now. So look at these two. She's migrated to his bowl now. Off and off and off. Off and off and off. Okay. So, So it looks like they were a very good pairing together, Marie Curie and her husband. So he used to say, Pierre, that he had got a wife made expressly for him to share all his preoccupations. Neither of us would contemplate abandoning what was so precious to both. The world knew 1903 as the year that the Curies won their Nobel Prize. For Mary, it was the year she lost her privacy and a second child. In August, she prematurely delivered a baby girl who died hours later. So the Nobel Prize made them very famous, so she lost her privacy as somebody who was a very pure scientist, very academic, didn't really want a lot of fame and fortune, mainly doing science for the sake of science and for her professional pursuits. Winning the Nobel Prize meant that she would become famous and lose her privacy, and it seems like sadly she also lost a child in that year. She already had a daughter, but looks like she was pregnant and delivered a baby prematurely. Letters to her sister revealed how angry she was at herself for thinking her body up to the rigor she had put it through leading up to the birth. She had continued the taxing purification of pitch blend, stopping only to take the bicycle holiday that had induced her early labor. She felt more optimistic the following year when she gave birth to a healthy daughter named Eve. She recalled the added burden lightheartedly in the biographical piece she wrote for Melanie. It was not easy to reconcile these household duties with my scientific work, yet, with good will, I managed it. If she sounded like the model of contented motherhood, the reality was more complicated. It was Grandpay who took Irene to see the sights of Paris. So the grandfather, the Pierre Curie's dad, helped them with the child. Ever heard of Chuck Eager? Oh, very cool, Stephen. It was Grandpay who took Irene to see the sights of Paris, and the nanny who taught the girls her native Polish. Hi, Gianna. Say what the Sigma. Say what the Sigma. Okay. All right. For whole summers, the girls stayed with hired help in Brittany so that Curie could work uninterrupted back in Paris. Irene wrote letters to her dear May, imploring her to see them, and felt devastated when she received in return only one letter of apology. So the daughter seemed to have had a complicated childhood with the parents being so busy. Greatness comes with these types of sacrifices. It's not simple at all. Eve, too, felt cheated that she could never compete with her mother's science. While Irene worked harder to become the lab partner with whom her mother wanted to engage, Eve turned elsewhere, becoming a musician on the international stage. Wow, they were all very high achievers. Goodness, Mary and Irene avoided publicity, but Eve loved to be seen. She had a penchant for makeup and heels and contemplated becoming a journalist. Her mother thought she might as well become the devil himself. Only in later years did the bond between them strengthen, especially when Eve nursed her mother through her last illness. After Curie's death, Eve became committed to political and social causes, taking the antithesis of her parents' anti-natural path. Baji, yeah. I need to readjust the temperature here. It's a little warm. So, the girls had a complicated childhood, but seems like they were helped by the grandfather, and they had some summers away and things like that. And both of them seem to have turned out okay. Irene helped Marie Curie and worked together in the lab, and Eve became a musician, that too a world famous one. So sounds like they turned out okay. In emphasizing the early years of Mary's marriage and career, Americans sentimentalized her as a mother and whitewashed the chauvinism that pervaded her career before and after she had children. No one mentioned the stares of male students and faculty who thought her an interloper on their sacred ground. Pregnancy and motherhood had divided her energies in ways male colleagues could not appreciate. Even in the most liberal of French circles, her return to work soon after birthing seemed to border on neglect. So, yeah, very different experiences than her male colleagues, for sure. Men wanted to believe that her extracurricular activities, read domestic, gave them cause not to take her seriously, but they had to. She performed better than any of them on the concours d'agrégation, and the dissertation that followed stunned her evaluators, future Nobel winners themselves. So she did such great, extraordinary work. It seems like they could not ignore her, but definitely they had a trouble relating with her and things like that. They probably did not want to take her seriously, but they had to. They had no choice. She was the first woman in Europe to complete a doctorate in her field, and she did it with force and style. Not only had she discovered radium, but she had isolated it and determined its atomic weight. The phenomenon of radioactivity was no longer a mystery, and yet a formal academic appointment for her remained elusive. Wow. If Mary Curie could not find a real job, well, I guess that explains a lot. I think, unfortunately, in academia, like any other field, even Einstein had issues getting a permanent or a more established position in academia. I remember from Einstein's Cosmos by Michio Kaku. It seems like some of these very brilliant scientists may or may not have had some issues securing a more established position because their accomplishments may even have stunned people. They might not have, people might have seen them a certain way and they just did not fit the mold. And what Mary Curie was accomplishing in her early years as a scientist was something just really beyond what people would have probably even imagined or expected. And given, too, that she also had all these other extra duties and domestic type of demands as a mother and everything like that. So, quite remarkable. Okay, so, but it's also a little disappointing and discouraging if she could not find a job at this point. The scientific community looked on in disbelief when she and Pierre won the Nobel in physics with Becquerel in 1903. The distinction didn't come easily. The French Academy quietly lobbied for the prize to be split between Becquerel and Pierre only. Between Becquerel and Pierre only, so this other guy, Becquerel and Pierre. A ploy a Swedish physicist made known to Pierre. No prize for radioactivity could possibly exclude his wife, he implored. She first suspected the existence of the elements they discovered. So this is another thing I was thinking about mentioning earlier, but I wanted to keep it for this moment. So Mary Curie was was sort of an anomaly in how much recognition she received, but it was not at all with ease. It's almost like people did plot against her, people did want to keep her in the shadows, and she could have ended up being much less recognized. But there were a few remarkable things that I think helped her eventually with her recognition, one of them being her husband, who wanted to share the Nobel Prize with her, rightly so, because she's the one who had discovered, obviously there were reasons. Her work spoke for itself, but back in that day, getting the Nobel Prize as a woman was a very, very, very big deal and a huge exception. But I think it helped immensely that she had allies, including her own husband, who was kind of making sure that she got the recognition. And this also kind of, it confirms that sometimes there are people who do great work. There is a lot of great work happening and a lot of great people, but they do need allies and help to, basically manage, maybe help manage their life, career, recognition, things like that. It's hard to do it without the proper assistance and sort of advocacy. So I think in this case, maybe there are cases where the person did not receive this type of support from their spouse or something like that, or people were comfortable with putting them and keeping them in the shadows. But in this particular case, thankfully, um, he spoke up for her, which is good. So, yeah, this distinction of winning the Nobel Prize for the first time in 1903 for Marie Curie it's not like it happened easily. It was quite remarkable in that they almost didn't do it, basically. No prize for radioactivity could possibly exclude his wife, he implored. She first suspected the existence of the elements they discovered, and she had already run experiments when he entered the fray. Upon conferring the prize, the president of the Swedish Academy of Sciences cited the old proverb, "Union is strength," acknowledging the Curies as a team. He also thought it appropriate to cite a biblical passage, "It is not good that man should be alone. I will make a helpmeet for him." Oh my God. His assumption that Mary served the team as helpmeet was pervasive in the science community. So this thing that she was maybe just a helper of Pierre Curie was probably the way people portrayed it to be comfortable, but really she was the leader of this particular effort and had done most of the work. Like, she had really pioneered this. Hi, Suchi. And that actually makes sense because it's kind of like she had the grad student advisor relationship with Pierre, sort of, right? So it makes sense that she did a large part of the work, because grad students definitely did, usually do have to do a large part of the work. They're advised by the more senior colleague, but they're more involved in the day-to-day and the more hands-on work. So to not give her the credit would have been really bad. Most believe that she was an assistant rather than a partner, a doer of deeds that Pierre brilliantly conceived. For now, Pierre's assertions shielded her, but they did not change what men thought in the back of their minds. So, so you could be as brilliant as Marie Curie, but it's discouraging to see that even her accomplishments were sort of being diminished. British physicist Hertha Ayrton, Curie's trusted confidant, suffered similar suspicious stares from men who assumed her successes to be her husband's. "Errors are notoriously hard to kill," she asserted, "but an error that ascribes to a man what was actually the work of a woman has more lives than a cat." Curie stayed close to Pierre to enjoy the refuge from scrutiny, but she also created strategic distance, publishing her own papers that demonstrated her ability to conceptualize and perform original research. So it's almost like being related to each other was both helpful and also a blessing and a curse, basically. She had to maintain her own independent sort of portfolio, so to speak, to demonstrate that she can conceptualize and perform original research, maybe almost more, more than she might have had to if she was not related to Pierre Curie. She found her reputation harder to defend after Pierre was tragically killed in a traffic accident in the Rue de Dauphine in 1906. Oh gosh, so only 3 years after they won the Nobel Prize, he died. American publicists insisted that devotion to her children saved her from deep despair, but she said it was the promise she and Pierre had made to each other that kept her focused and gave her purpose. She refused a widow's pension, taking over Pierre's academic appointment at the Sorbonne instead. University officials went along even if they appointed her as an assistant rather than give her Pierre's full professorship. So Pierre was a full professor, and she was made, I guess, an assistant professor at this point. and she took over his lab. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's very difficult. Personal loss is, of course, obviously very, very difficult, but it seems like she was being very brave and carrying forward the work. The following November, reporters, dignitaries, and such legendary figures as Lord Kelvin himself sat among the advanced students in the amphitheater in which Curie gave her dead husband's lectures. She walked into booming applause that she tried to suppress with gestures for quiet. People wondered if she'd react with displays of emotion and odes to Pierre. Instead, she proceeded in a steady monotone. When we consider the progress made by the theories of radioactivity since the beginning of the 19th century, students were amazed she had picked up on Pierre's last explication of polonium almost to the sentence, even in the wake of Pierre's death. She refused to give colleagues reason to think her anything but the consummate professional. She had to convince the audience that she could act the part of the disinterested scientist as well as any man with whom she now competed. So, lots of pressure to be taken seriously, unfortunately, for Mary Curie here. But when the period of mourning was over, reaction to her university appointment changed. Invariably, colleagues and the press began to look critically at the widow, propelled by her husband's death. Pierre had been elected into the Académie des Sciences in 1905, but his colleagues took less kindly to his widow's submission as a candidate 5 years later. A war of the sexes played out in the press, for the Académie had a long, prestigious history of being open only to men. Yeah, so these great people that we read about and know about and who are so famous did not have the most easy and comfortable lives, it is to be noted. Lots of struggle. Someone so extraordinary, winning Nobel Prizes, but still struggling for recognition in a basic career. Her detractors found it easier to build their case against her when they seized on allegations from the wife of physicist. Oh my gosh. When they seized on allegations from the wife of physicist Paul Langevin that he and Curie were lovers. Langevin had been a former student of Pierre's and a close family friend, making the alleged affair all the more scandalous. Langevin's wife released supposed love letters to the tabloids, creating a publicity nightmare from which Curie never recovered. If it all seemed unrelated to her science, members of the Académie refused to see it that way. Feminists defended her, but right-wing detractors scrutinized her fitness for membership on every score. In the Illustrated Daily, I can't say that word, L'Excelsior, a physiognomist and handwriting expert, examined the published love letters to determine her qualifications. Nationalist publications used her foreign origins against her. She became the object of anti-Semitic slander, although she was not a Jew. A prominent French editor wrote of her in scathing terms. She was no longer the Vestal Virgin of radium, but a Polish interloper with inappropriate ambitions. First, she rode the coattails of Pierre, and now she looked to his unsuspecting students. So yeah, lots of criticism, whether or not her personal life, what the facts are there. She was being scrutinized lots and lots. Albert Einstein committed adultery and left his wife without ill effects in the press, but Curie was different. So remember, Einstein had some personal things as well. Some failed marriage, things like that, being involved with the cousin who then he married. But those are not really super focused on in the press. But for Mary Curie, she received a lot of scrutiny on her personal life, whether or not these things were true or not. Although no longer bound in matrimony, she had mistakenly revealed herself as a sexual woman, and thus the fiction of her saintly science was impossible to maintain. In the midst of scandal, Curie also made headlines for winning her second Nobel Prize. Good God. So this woman, she just keeps on working as she should. All of this is noise. They were trying to bring her down, probably really jealous of her achievements. But she won her second Nobel Prize. Amazing. Just incredible. It should have showed up her unquestioned status in science, but it only led to greater scrutiny. The Nobel Committee seemed to be splitting hairs. Some suggested awarding a prize for her chemical study of radium when the first one she won was for radioactivity in general. Curie accepted her prize reticently. Irene, now a 14-year-old, sensed the tension surrounding her mother in Stockholm. Mary, credited peer, but also with indignation, referred to my hypothesis about radioactivity, my chemical work to isolate radium. Without peer there to defend her, it is unlikely that she was convincing. The allegedly adulterous Langevin went back to work unscathed, but for Curie, the sex scandal seemed to flick a switch. Her trespass into the masculine realm of science could no longer be excused. The scientific establishment decided she could not win individual accolades with her reputation intact. So, she was winning so many accolades, so the accolades, like so much achievement, right? So they were going for her character now. Already reclusive, Curie tried to evade the public eye at all costs. For the following decade, she refused almost all requests for interviews, no matter the context, making it all the more curious that she agreed to talk with Melanie in 1920. Perhaps Curie hoped that the staunchly independent American would provide both a sympathetic ear and the power to advance her scientific work. The way to do it, Melanie insisted, was to reinstate her maternal image among Americans more willing to forgive her frailties. She had the word of every leading newspaper editor in New York that he would make no mention of the love affair during her radium campaign. Arthur Brisbane, managing editor of the Evening Journal, even handed over his file on the scandal to let Melanie do with it as she pleased. The Curie who was introduced to Americans appeared as the Virgin Mary in black, maternal, saint-like, in no way sexual. Her refusal to patent her method for extracting radium was presented as an absolute sign of her altruism, and her tragic circumstances as a widow only added to this image. So, Curie was to be the common woman in a country where the common man was beyond reproach. In press release, the title Devoted Wife and Collaborator of Peer preceded her name. Stories in the press focused on her monastic years in the shed when she and Peer gave themselves up for their life-saving science. Curie knew that her American self was largely a figment of Melanie's imagination, but other than wielding an editorial hand when stories got too personal, she was complicit in the end. So she thought, whatever. Let the editor do what she wants with the story. Do with it, get the most out of what she could. The tour of 1921, Melanie wove the web of publicity meticulously, each strand of Curie's life story braided to create an extraordinary American design. Her marriage provided the romance, her Spartan ways a sacrifice for nobler good. That her radium could be linked to medical research made it possible to see her as maternally benevolent. While the nation's chemical and physical societies embraced her as their own, some of the most conspicuous displays of gratitude took place at medical research facilities and medical colleges, where her discovery of radium was seen as a humanitarian act. So, very much a more soft, feminine, maternal figure. Otherwise, people were not ready to accept her. During the course of Melanie's campaign, the National Association of Medical Women made Curie an honorary member, seeing her as a saintly foremother. Heartwarming human interest stories followed. A horticulturalist, for example, named his prized strain of red roses for the woman he saw as responsible for the medical breakthrough that had saved his life. So this is how people were comfortable with her, basically. Until this happened, they were having trouble. And people were kind of bringing her down and bringing her character down and basically creating these stories of her being shady and all this stuff. Sex scandal type of things were happening for her. But as soon as this makeover happened with the press, where she was now looked on as maternal and caring about people with her research, that's when people were able to accept her and more comfortable to accept her. Sharky Chill Straws says hi. Hello. Melanie was gratified to see that within months, the Radium Fund was oversubscribed. So she, remember, was interested in getting more funds for her research. The call to raise $100,000 had attracted more than 100,000 women and an impressive group of medical men who believed, as Melanie had hoped, that Curie's cause was their own. Carrie Chapman Catt, the popularly recognized pacifist and suffrage organizer, wrote a piece in Woman Citizen called Helping Madame Curie to Help the World. So this type of thing, helping Madame Curie to help the world, this is what the world was more interested in viewing her as. Not the pure scientist, the pure academic who was super focused on her work, Mary Curie, but Madame Curie to help the world. You know, that type of image suited them better about her. Curie had become the expedient face of her maternalist politics. Men, too, had written checks in support of scientific innovation, medical advance, or other causes Curie ostensibly represented. Arthur Brisbane's $100 check to the Radium Fund did not honor a scientific mind, but the best in womanhood, for he gave it in the name of Julia Ward Howe, famed writer of the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Thank you. Sharky Jill says, I remember your cat. Thank you. She's over there. The some of them are upstairs because it's warmer upstairs. I think this is Suji actually, but yeah, some of them are upstairs. I think Baji went upstairs, but one of them is up here on the fridge, the nook between the cabinet and the fridge. Steven, Baji's hiding, not supposed to know he's at. Yeah, exactly. He is in hiding mode. Although I think this is Suji. It might be Baji. I can't tell. Suji, mama. Yeah. Yeah, this is Suji. I think I see him. Yeah. You can see. There you go. So then we continue this. Curie had hoped to accept the donations quietly, but Melanie wanted to satisfy the American thirst for celebrity, pull the drama from the print, and parade it in the flesh. There you go. That's Suji. She had turned into public spectacle the taking of sealed bids from chemical manufacturers to produce the gifted radium. Now she wanted Curie to accept the radium in person. Oh my God. Before her American admirers, while Curie agreed that a gesture of appreciation would be appropriate, she had not imagined the pomp and circumstance Melanie had in mind. So, Mary Curie probably did not realize that Melanie had a lot of drama in store for her, in the form of a widely publicized tour with ribbon cuttings, speeches, and ceremonies, exactly what the reclusive scientist had spent her life trying to avoid. She would lunch with the ladies of the Radium Fund Committee and visit with students at women's colleges before attending a massive reception of the American Association of University Women at Carnegie Hall. Standard Chemical and the Department of Mines also planned to host events where she would be presented with specimens of carnonite and other precious ores. She was scheduled to dedicate the Mining Bureau's new low-temperature laboratory, where in the name of American ingenuity, she would push a button to set its machinery in motion. So she was doing all these like PR type of things now out of a need for press and getting the attention. Oh yeah, Suji, Suji. Mr. Kitty likes to sleep in my mom's closet, so he's got a bad case of a closet case. Suji's the one. Yep, that's Suji. Others were quick to seize on the fascination for all things Curie. R.H. Macy and company launched a series of books about radium to coincide with her tour, and executives of chemical companies bought space in the New York Times to welcome Curie to the United States. The American Museum of Natural History in New York also made preparations for the tour, opening an exhibit with photographs and specimens of the ore she had used to isolate her batch of radium. Love the name Suji. Yes, Suji. University men paid tribute to her as well, awarding her honorary degrees at the universities of Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, and Chicago, and at Northwestern Columbia and Yale. At Harvard, the mood was less generous, however. William Duane, a former student at the Curie Institute, convinced university professor Charles Eliot that she was unworthy of special honors. I agree with you that Madame Curie might possibly have some good influence while in this country on present discussions of feminism, Eliot told Melanie, but since her husband died in 1906, Madame Curie has done nothing of great importance. Melanie defended her friend, citing studies confirming her accomplishments. When all else failed, she used maternity. Oh my God. So this is what she wrote. It is hardly fair to say that Madame Curie has not done anything of great importance since her husband's death in 1906. She had done nothing comparable with the study of radium and probably never will surpass that achievement, but she has contributed enough to science and to life to justify any praise or honor which might be bestowed upon her. She had carried on her scientific work, but the outstanding virtue of these years lies in the fact that having discovered radium and come into prominence, she turned to her home as a normal mother and gave the intimate minute attention to her children, which motherhood should impose. So she kind of used motherhood. But the fact is that with or without motherhood, science is very difficult to do. Research is a lot of work, and you can't expect somebody to constantly push out things, you know. And even then, Mary Curie was actually being very productive still. So, not sure what these people were complaining about, but whatever. Reporters at the New York Times aided her case, reminding readers that Pierre Curie himself had insisted that his wife had been the more deserving recipient of their Nobel Prize. When men at Harvard, as at Princeton, refused to change their minds, Melanie simply pressed on, for men and women in many other organizations thought Curie the perfect vehicle for advancing their public profiles. The Philosophical Society, the American Chemical Society, the Mineralogical Club, and the Associations of Polish and Canadian Women organized formal gatherings in her honor. The National Institute of Social Science planned to host a formal dinner at Waldorf, where Vice President Calvin Coolidge planned to present Curie with the Institute's Gold Medal of Honor. The grandest of displays was reserved for the White House itself. President Warren Harding was to present the radium as a gift to Curie from American women. Wow, politicians, industrialists, and socially important women hoped to benefit from their associations with Mary Curie. That's the thing, like once you become successful, people want to actually associate with you, right? They want to write you checks and basically help themselves by helping you associate with your success. The skepticism of a few university men could not damage her. The itinerary was very intimidating, Curie confided. Since her arrival in France in 1891, she had rarely traveled outside the country, and when she did, it was under an assumed name to protect her privacy. Her fear of ceremony bordered on a phobia. When she won the Nobel Prize in 1903, she feigned illness so that she could accept the prize at a later date with less fanfare. Her American tour could proceed, she told Melanie, only if she would insert days of rest in the schedule and if her daughters, now 23 and 16, could accompany her as companions and ready stand ins. She asked that the voyage overseas proceed with the minimum of publicity, and it did until she reached the United States. Wow. All right. So this is page 39 of Madame Curie's American Tours from the book The Madame Curie Complex, The Hidden History of Women in Science by Julie Desjardins. Thank you so much for being here. I think we will wrap it up for today, actually. If you're seeing this video upload later on, please do leave me a comment and let me know what you thought of Madame Curie's tours and Madame Curie's life so far as read from this book. Leave us a comment. Really lovely to have everybody here today hanging out. We started the chat and the live with a little bit of playtime, and we eventually progressed to this book and this discussion of Madame Curie and how her life and career shaped up, and also how it shaped many other people's views and what they found to be inspiring and whatnot. So we will continue this discussion at a later time. It's a very important discussion of a very exceptional person, and talks about how prominent women navigated their professional successes and personal business as well. And of course, it's also about one of the most famous women in the world, Madame Curie. So thank you once again. Really appreciate everybody today. Thank you for your patience and your support to the channel. We're really happy to have you here. Thank you for joining the live, and thank you for watching this later on as a video. And as usual, stay tuned and we will see you next time. Thank you.